Okay, so Timothy.
Hi.
I guess.
Trying to think of a nickname for you that I can say in front of the camera.
LJ Furner, don't mean Linda.
LJ Furner, don't mean Linda.
I guess we should start with what the show is about. What is it?
What is Somewhere to Belong?
Yeah.
Somewhere to Belong is a madcap hour of a character called CK who's trying to figure out what her sexuality means for her, but having to do it underneath the pressure of an abstract game show that comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So it's the kind of abstract response to the ridiculous questions and stereotypes that get thrown at people who identify as being attracted to more than one gender. Such as, oh, does that mean you like this? Does that mean that you're more promiscuous? Does that mean you're more fickle?
Yeah.
And it's usually by people who are in a bar or on the bus or in some ridiculous place where you're just put on the spot.
Yeah.
So I think it's a big fuck you to that kind of question and thought in a way that's fun and celebrates being bi or pan or queer, and hopefully will help people think a bit more and have a laugh.
Yeah. I really like that. I think when we were developing the show and we started thinking about all these phrases that frustrated not just us but all the people that we spoke to in terms of the biphobia that they've experienced, I think one of the things we came across is that they're actually quite dangerous in terms of how they make people feel and how they affect our lives as people who are attracted to more than one gender. But I think with the show, we wanted to actually lean more into the absurdity of them and kind of like show them up for what they are.
Because it is absurd. It's absolutely stupid that people think that we're greedy just because we're honest about being attracted to more than one gender.
Yeah.
It's so stupid. And the weird stereotypes that people come up with. I was going to say Doc Martens, cuff trousers, and then...
I don't know what you mean. Hairy legs.
Moving on. It's just ridiculous. And I think we talked about this a lot, even before we started making the show, about how we were tired of people assuming those things. And then we started talking to more people who identify as bi or pan or queer, and they had the same experiences. And I think that's kind of when we realised we needed to make a show about it.
Yeah. I think CK is a great character to do that through because the show has a lot of clowning elements in it, which mean that we're able to lean into this absurd kind of game show unreality through that character of CK, whose physicality really helps us to push the ridiculousness of the entire situation. And I think we've both agreed it's very unsubtle as a show in terms of that metaphor of the game show. Yeah. I know, ridiculous. I definitely think that it's very we wanted to be direct in terms of what we were making fun of.
I like the thought that it's on the nose without it being a stick to beat you over the head with.
Sure, yeah.
It's really tongue-in-cheek in a very tongue-in-cheek way, I guess. I also like CK because she could be any person.
Yeah.
And I like the fact we've named the CK as a homage to all the people we interviewed to help create the show, because we refer to them with their initials or, initials that we assigned to them. So it was kind of nice in a way that the character's not just me on stage, it's all these other people and all their other experiences, which I think is important to me as the writer.
Yeah, absolutely. And that sense of we wanted to use the show to represent a community. And so we have this kind of backing of this community of voices who are there through our sound design, but also through the character of CK. She represents the kind of accumulation of all the people that we've spoken to in order to create the show.
Yeah.
And that's been such a great journey because it's a show about people who are attracted to more than one gender, made by people who are attracted to more than one gender, and based off of the real life experiences of people who are attracted to more than one gender. Like we really wanted to like pursue authenticity, I guess, in the show.
And I like that it's not just one person's take on it, it's an amalgamation. I think that's important because it represents such a large group of people. It can't just be one person's idea.
Yeah.
So I think when we spoke to, it's over 40 people now. How many patterns we saw emerging for words and kinds of experiences that people had, but also how different and diverse they were in the same way. It was absolutely amazing. And I think because the show's called Somewhere to Belong, it's about looking for the community when you don't know if you have a community or if there is a community. I think actually us having these conversations with people helped us find a community, or me, and it helped me find a community anyway.
Yeah, definitely.
And that there are so many people out there. And I think that's a really beautiful thing.
Yeah, that's brilliant. In terms of the show itself, I guess the idea is that we don't know, and neither does CK, what it is that she's going to win at the end. There's this there's this prize element.
Yeah.
And she goes through these series of really kind of humiliating, kind of Taskmaster-like, I think is what we've ended up comparing it to.
Yeah, because the tasks are nonsensical and the rules are never clear from the beginning. So CK is always on the back foot, which I think is really similar to Taskmaster, where it gets a lot of its humour from, as well as being a great show. So I think the fact that we never see the prize and then we never get the prize, spoiler, it shows that there is no prize. And the pursuit of this prize, or the belief that there is this prize of approval or whatever, is just ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the tasks make no sense because the questions make no sense.
Yeah, I think that's really nice.
Yeah, and it's just fun. It's just it's
just
so
fun. So silly,
and ridiculous, and an exercise, I think, in how far you can take an idea.
Yeah, no, definitely. I really like that. Yeah, I think that's definitely true. I think like that sense of it being so deeply a metaphor for something that it's kind of created its own world. That's definitely part of it, I think.
I mean, when we started creating it, I had no idea how far it would go.
Yeah.
And then we've arrived here.
But it's nice, and I love that we wanted to. Well, I think that myself and the director Gwenan knew that you as a performer, Kim, not just as a writer, like you have this like really exceptional physicality.
Oh, thank you.
You know, you have this. Is it right to say you have like clown training? Is that right?
Yeah, some. I wouldn't call myself a full-on. I want to say qualified clown.
A qualified clown, yeah.
I'm not a qualified clown, but I have had various bits of training, and I really kind of align to that kind of performance because it's really connecting with the audience. It's very simplistic in a way, but it's not simplistic. It's about connecting with the audience in a way that's very pure and very silly, in a way that means that if you send yourself up, it doesn't matter. If you look ridiculous, that's the whole point of it.
Yeah.
So I think the kind of performance suits itself well to this kind of show, because the show is ridiculous.
Yeah.
The situation is ridiculous. Not that the character is ridiculous, but the response to it is ridiculous, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, there are so many more talented and qualified and experienced clowns out there. Still now, even after how many years I've been doing it, I still feel a bit like trepidous saying I'm a clown. So I would say there are clown elements to the show. I wouldn't say it's a pure Gaulian kind of clown show.
No.
But it definitely has some influences because it suits it so well.
I think that what Kim brings to it is this really powerful physicality. I think that the body language and all the non-verbal elements of it, even though it's a show really about words and about how we use words to bring other people down and make their lives more difficult because we use words to categorize people. I think that actually the physicality of it and these absurd tasks where we get Kim to just like run everywhere and have to we have a bit where she fights the lighting designer, basically. It's her and our wonderful lighting designer, Em. basically trying to get from one end of the stage to the other, light versus CK. It's really wonderful. And I think that Kim was, you know, you're a brilliant performer to kind of convey that sense of hopelessness, I suppose, or like or fear or anxiety about trying to prove something, but doing it in a way that's just really funny and really enjoyable to watch. It's a real joy to watch it. So I think that, if anything, even though some elements of our subject matter, they are serious, and we do take every experience that someone has shared with us about biphobia very seriously, it's a very unserious show. It's about trying to celebrate the bi community, to poke fun at biphobia, and to just create an hour that is about acknowledging the issues that people who are attracted to more than one gender face, but also celebrating them and having a really fun time doing that, which I think, especially in the current context, is really important. I think it's really important that it's funny and that it's silly and that we enjoy making it, I think.
Yeah, and I think it's only as fun as it is because the team are so good, because it's been amazing to work with you and with Gwenan and Em and Am and Andy and everyone that we've spoken to. Everyone's brought such a open-minded eagerness for it to be something other than a depressing one-person show where someone dies at the end, or, you know, whatever queer other tropes that we have about representation in the media for queer and gay people. And I think it's been such an integral part of the show, the fact that teams come together so well in such an open, playful way.
Yeah.
I think without that, the show would not be anywhere near as joyful or mad as it is. I mean, look at this. This is mad.
Yeah.
But great.
Really fun.
Yeah. And I think it's just nice for it to be a celebration as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think the fact that it's very joyful in terms of its playfulness, in terms of CK as a character, in terms of how it celebrates multi-gender attraction, I think that's one of the main reasons why we wanted to make it that way, because there's such little bisexual representation, let alone pansexual, polysexual. We use bi plus as kind of an umbrella term for actually a huge group of people that we've spoken to. Yeah,
and the amount of people that got in touch going, oh, I don't identify as bi, but I do identify as this, can I still talk to you? And the fact that they still felt excluded because of the choice of words, or the words they felt comfortable using, or they felt uncomfortable using. It's amazing how varying and diverse it is. But the only reason we started using bi as the kind of umbrella term is because we were doing shout-outs on Twitter. Yeah. And you can only fit so many characters on Twitter, so we had to pick one. And it's so strange that people, the fact is, because it's no set, I guess, definition, which is, I think, the good thing about it. There's no set word, or there are many different words for covering how different people feel. But then, it's finding a way to incorporate them all in a way that they're all valued and represented. Yeah, absolutely. And I think we can't represent everybody in the show, but what we want to try and do is to build that sense of community in some small way, because the representation out there is so little and so missing, that we're kind of, this is like one small hour-long offer that we want to bring to people. Or just to get them to think as well. I mean, we've had some lovely comments from people after they left the show at the Lion and Unicorn, going, oh, it really made me go and think about my own sexuality. Or that my loved one's sexuality, when they said that they've identified as this before and I never understood what it meant.
Which is mad. Yeah. Like, what a great thing for a piece of theatre to do, really. Yeah. What more can we ask for? Just have to have a thinking response to it is a massive. I mean, it makes me really proud of the show, because the fact that you sit and you engage with it and it makes you change your day in some small way just by having a different thought process. Yeah, absolutely. So I guess that brings us on to why why should people care about Somewhere to Belong, I suppose?
I think because it's relevant right now. I think it's been relevant for years, but that the conversation has started finally to move that way. There was that, I can't remember the name of the study, but there was that study in 2018 where they asked how many people identified as what sexuality group, and the percentage had shot up of people who identify as being attracted to more than one gender versus the same survey 4 years before. So obviously those people didn't come out of nowhere. That was people having thought and decided that this was a time for them to be open about how they feel and who they're attracted to. And I think now it's relevant because there's so little representation about it. It's getting better, but yeah, I've lost my train of thought.
No, that's good.
Come see the show.
Yeah, just come see it, you fucking dickheads. Don't be so pathetic. Yeah, I think in terms of why people should care about it, it's hopefully a show that if you are attracted to more than one gender, you will find at least one moment in this show where it really resonates with you and you identify with CK as a character.
Yeah.
And you can, we can use theatre to build a sense of community, and we hope to do that, and we love to chat to people after the show and to build that connection that we have with the people that we've spoken to or haven't spoken to before about the show and what it is. And I think in terms of helping people to find a community or to just be in a room for an hour and feel what I'm seeing on stage, that's for me.
Yeah.
Those references are for me.
Yeah.
Like the things that they're poking fun at, they're for me, they're things that I've experienced. That's really key to what we wanted to do. And I think even if you don't identify as being attracted to more than one gender, as you've said, the show is a talking point, and it's meant that people who have bisexual or pansexual people in their lives who they didn't know how to have a conversation with before, had never acknowledged that they're attracted to more than one gender before, they've had the opportunity to use going to the show to start that conversation.
Yeah.
And I think that why shouldn't you come and see that? And take a moment to come and appreciate all the people in your life who are, because there's so many of them who are attracted to more than one gender, and really, just take an hour out to laugh and have a really good time, basically.
Yeah, and I think I hope it gives people hope as well, that there are other people out there, that they're not alone in those experiences, or the marginalisation they may have experienced, or the hurtful, harmful, dangerous comments they might have had at them. And I hope it gives hope that more representation is coming. Even the other theatre makers that we've met who are trying to make stuff in the past year alone has been so encouraging. I think it's the next conversation that's coming to the media and to art in general.
I hope so. Wouldn't that be nice?
That'd be lovely. Wouldn't it be lovely to not be one of the few bi, pan, queer shows out there? Wouldn't it be lovely that there's a community of us all making different interpretations? That would be beautiful. There are some, and they're amazing. Absolutely. But I think it's still very niche. And
that's the thing. We're not actually greedy. We want
everyone come in.
We are greedy. We want as much representation as possible, please, if you wouldn't mind. I'd love it if there was more than maybe 2 shows on Netflix that had a bi character in it.
Well, that just confuses me. So
yeah, I know, exactly. I'm so undecided about how I feel about that. So
I'm trying to think of a way to get cheater in, and I can't. I'm out.
I feel cheated about the lack of
well done
Netflix shows.
I think Netflix is really fickle.
Yeah. Oh, me too.
Probably shouldn't name them as a brand. Streaming services.
Of your choice.
Of your choice.
Others are available.
And I think it's relevant as well because, again, there was that, I can't remember another survey about how, of all the major sexuality groups, people who identify as multi-gender attracting have the highest rates of mental health issues, anxiety, depression, suicidality, because of the marginalisation they experience. And I think in 2021, that shouldn't be happening.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and it still happens. And it's so ingrained in our society that people say stuff without even thinking how it can be.
About the effect of it.
Yeah, how it's damaging.
Yeah, absolutely. I think in terms of what the show does and why it's important to come and see it, from a wider perspective than simply all the brilliant bisexual plus people that we want to come and see it because we want them to see their representation on stage. I think it's a funny, ridiculous hour of fun, and we think you might learn something from it. And I think there's really like nothing more that we could ask for from an audience than that. And I don't think that the audience could ask any more of us. I think if you want to laugh at someone rolling around on a stage for an hour, but also potentially maybe show a bit of love for some of the bisexual people in your life, this is the show for you, basically, effectively. Yeah.
Amazing.
Lovely. Shall I look at the next question? Because I can't remember it.
Love you getting all the sound bites in.
I'm just obsessed with it.
Great job.
Just obsessed with myself, you know.
Got what the show is, why we made the show, why is it relevant? Archive.
Why should people care? Oh, yeah. Why did we... I mean, we've covered a lot of these. Should we talk about the archive for a bit?
Yeah, definitely.
I think that would be good. So when we decided to make this show, we started to talk to people. That was the first step, effectively, was to start finding people who are attracted to more than one gender, who we could talk to about their experiences. And the response from some call-outs on Twitter and Instagram
was staggering. I think we were expecting about 10 people who were mates.
Yeah.
People we knew, just who would take pity on us and go, yeah,
ex-girlfriends.
Well.
Basically, that was it.
Yeah, but then we got easily over 30 responses within a day from around the world, which just completely took us by surprise.
Yeah.
And the more we spoke to people, the more we realised how important every story was, and we couldn't integrate every aspect of every story into the show, obviously. So we decided very early on that this needs to be an archive. So we created the Somewhere to Belong archive, which is online now.
Very nice. It's a
and
beautiful website.
It's beautifully designed, like chef's kiss designed, accessible website full of transcripts, which we are expanding and developing, and will be sharing some very exciting news of soon.
Yeah.
And it's just, I think it's been, we weren't expecting that to be such a big part of the project as it's become. And I'd say it's as important as part as the show for me.
It's become kind of a parallel sister project to the show, effectively, where it's just as important that we're continuing to interview people now, and we're still getting interest, and we just got 1,000 views on the archive, which is amazing. And I had a little look at like where people have read, like where they're from, and you know, as far as like Trinidad and Tobago, Canada,
That's
Australia.
incredible.
Like it's been really overwhelming, the response, and I think it shows how much it's needed, how much an archive that just really simply, because we're not archivists or oral
we've
historians.
had to learn this all the hard way, and figuring it out by ourselves. We've had some amazing support from some amazing people.
Yeah.
But it was such a challenge to figure out the ethics and the practicalities of setting up an archive and doing it in a way that looks after the participants and represents them fairly and accurately in a way they wish to be represented.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it became this whole other task as well as the show, which was a real labour for love of both of us.
Yeah,
I think.
Very much so.
Huge job.
And it's still happening. So we interviewed participants during the lovely pandemic, and so we ended up doing them all.
We had a lot of time on it.
Yeah, we suddenly had not much going on. So we did a lot of the interviews over Zoom, which was amazing because it meant that not only did we have the audio, which we then do the transcriptions from, which is what the archive is at the moment. Yeah. But we also have the sound clips, some of which feature in the show, and we also have some video clips as well. And we don't know what kind of journey that might take. We hope that we'll be able to create a sound library for the archive as well.
That would be a really beautiful
Which would be
thing.
fantastic.
Yeah.
So we're still continuing to build it and make it as accessible as possible so that as many people as possible are able to come and listen and read some of the amazing conversations that we've had with people. Like these conversations, I don't think we expected people to be as open and as honest as they were with us. And actually we had some really profound conversations with people about their lives, about their sexuality, about what they make of the different labels that they have to use in order for people to understand their sexuality or their romantic attraction, their frustrations about you know what it is that they find difficult in terms of how we've like set up society basically, and you know what contemporary issues these people face,
and the human impact that those societal norms have on people every day, depending on where they live, where they're from, you know, who they are, how much it affects people's daily lives, and people just don't realise that, I think.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
And I think we always end every interview we have done so far asking about where people feel most celebrated, where they feel that their sexuality or their romantic attraction is the most celebrated, where they feel amazing. And it's everything from like an Aphrodite party, you know, like a queer night out, to just going to the pub with a very close circle of found family, effectively.
Or just being in their house with their housemates who support them and love them.
Yeah.
Or the amount of people who I'd ask that question to and who weren't able to answer.
Yeah.
Which I think shows again why the show and the archive are so relevant, because not everyone has found that place to celebrate and be themselves and find that community yet. And I think that's one of our hopes for the show and for the archive, is that people know that they can find it and it's with us if they need it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that as projects, they work really well together, because the archive is us shutting up, basically, and giving the opportunity for other people who perhaps have never really had a conversation about their sexuality before. Yeah. And offering them a platform to speak. And then we use the archive to amplify that voice and celebrate it and celebrate them as an individual.
Yeah.
And then we integrate some of those voices and the audio clips that we have from those interviews. Some of those are integrated into the show. And that was about using sound design to represent that community that we've built, basically, which is a lovely thing for us to do with theatre, is to, for that 1 hour, your audience is your community. And I think we've hoped to emulate that throughout the show in different ways. And I think the sound design and using real people's voices as the like overwhelming key element of our sound design has been amazing. And it's really, really lovely. And I think that the show is also a great way for us to raise awareness of the archive and raise awareness of this community that we're building and who are out there who we just haven't been able to reach yet. But it's also just a really great way to represent something that's actually quite multifaceted and complicated. Yeah. I don't think it's a necessarily challenging show in terms of I think that the message that we want to convey is very clear. Yeah. That bisexuality and people who are attracted to more than one gender, polysexual, pansexual, these are people, they exist and they deserve the right to exist within both queer spaces and in straight spaces. Yeah. And that we want to try and stamp out a bit of the kind of casual biphobia that is so prevalent. Yeah. And do that through Kim dressed up in a unicorn onesie. Why not? That's pretty much my remit. That's what I do. Just what I do. That's what I everyone. Do. Any show, if I can get a onesie or a boiler suit in, I'm in. Oh, perfect. That's great. That's good to know, actually. Yeah. Next show.
It's going to be about
Maybe it
boilers.
could just be based on the onesies. Like maybe it's just the next show is based on whatever onesie
I
we
do
find
have
next.
a tiger onesie, so I'm thinking the next show might have to be like Tiger Queen.
Oh, very good. Yeah, I love that.
I love
That's
it.
very nice.
Yeah.
Great. I need some water. Thanks. You're going to say when? Are we sounding okay?
Yeah, well,
You have no idea.
How are we doing for?
Okay, very good.
This
So we
is
might
when
have to
I've
do a
turned my mic
voiceover.
off.
I have been looking to make sure that it's coming through, and it's fine. You've got both mics. So.
Okay.
Great.
Lovely stuff. So Kim,
Yes.
when and where can you watch Somewhere to Belong next?
So Somewhere to Belong is coming to Vault Festival, the 25th to the 28th of January 2022. It's also going to Brighton Fringe, which will be exciting as hell, on the 26th and 27th of May. And the archive is somewheretobelong.co.uk.
Amazing. You can book tickets on the Vault Festival and Brighton Fringe websites. I think there's different prices available for both. So we've covered all those bases. And at the Vault Festival, to be confirmed the dates, but in that run, there will also be 2 shows which have BSL interpretation and live captioning.
So exciting to be able to do that. We've
Yeah,
never been
it'd
able
be
to
great.
do that before. So
Yeah, we
it's
haven't,
great to have that accessibility as well.
Yeah. And we want to do more.
More, all
So
of it.
Ask Council, give us some more money.
Someone else cancel.
30k next time. I think that's everything.
I think so.
Are there any strap lines we want to say?
Not on camera.
All right. Somewhere to Belong is an hour of absolute chaos, and I think you should come and see it because it's really funny, and that's it. I think that's all
Couldn't
it
have
is.
said it better myself.
Yeah, nothing better. Cool. Living the dream.
Cool.
Come
That's
see
a
the
wrap.
Can you stay in position and just chat a bit, because I'm going to get some B shots of like the boxes and stuff.
Cool.
Sure thing.
Do you need the dialogue for this, or is it just?
No, it's just you being in place. So we
Okay.
Can just,
Where in the countryside do you think you're going to go?
I don't know. I think we wanted to try and go somewhere where we could go for a nice walk and it be near the sea.
Ooh. You
but-
guys get to the sea so often. I'm so impressed.